Well, you're going to hear a lot of information today about how bad and how negative this unfunded mandate is, but probably the most important people you're going to hear from are the director of pupil personnel, who had to get these kids to school in a timely fashion and safely. We've talked about the budget and its impact. I've said it's a terrible budget holistically, but it's a disaster for our school districts. Now, we're not talking about cutting the funds, which we know is a terrible thing, on the back of taxpayers and our kids. In this case, we're talking about an unbelievable lack of reality mandate to fulfill the obligations of all these electric vehicle buses. Now, a lot of the superintendents have come to visit me, principals, the administration, others who are concerned about this. And they really laid it out for us in our offices right now. What they tell us now, and you just heard it from one of our superintendents, is that parents are in the house with their kids out near the road right now saying, we just got a call, come back in, you're not going to be able to go to school today. We can't fulfill the buses to come on your route today because you got 3 or 4 people who have the flu, and it takes 2 to 3 months, as we know, to really train these bus drivers right now so they can get in a bus with the combustible engine school buses we have. Now you're going to add this particular mandate. And then the superintendents say to us, Senator, a regular combustible bus is about $150,000, but an EV is $400,000 to $450,000. How are we ever going to fulfill this mandate? What are we going to do with our budget to protect that budget itself and our important programs? Because as has been said, the funding isn't in there right now. And we know how the state of New York giveth and then taketh away. Well, in this case, they're not even giveth right now. They've given the minimum, so they have to make course corrections right now in case funding isn't a realistic thing. Plus, we're forgetting about the mandates of training the individuals. They're sending them all across the nation to get special training to deal with the maintenance, to drive these particular vehicles. But the one thing that was really disconcerting to me, maybe above and beyond all these, the principals have been coming to us and said, look, we contacted the energy people. And they say, when this mandate is supposed to be fulfilled, and these buses across the state of New York put that charger in, guess what? We don't think we're going to be able to get the energy to them because there's a whole bunch of other organizations and businesses which are going to this alternative and renewable fuels, which is fine. Nobody here is against moving to cleaner, better environmental, maybe more cost-effective in the future. This reminds me of the immigration concept, dripping with hypocrisy. Come one, come all, uh-oh, not so much when you come to my city with that mayor. Now, create a perfect world, but don't worry about the funding. We're going to give you these environmentally great buses, but where's the money forthcoming? And let me repeat myself one more time. We're not against alternative fuels in the future. This is a political reality they've put in place, again, maybe to get through the next couple of elections and say, we're for climate correction here, we're for climate change. Well, how about being on the backs of the economy, because that's not going to move forward with this. Job training is not going to move forward with this in this time limit, this non-reality time limit they've given us. The ability to maintain, to control, to take care of, to get this fuel and this energy to the places it has to get to, it's not a realistic thing. And that has been said. So we're dealing in reality here, and the reality is, as the senator said, and I appreciate him and all my colleagues being here to point out and stand up for our constituents, because as I always say, we're not just elected officials, senators, assemblymen, we're representatives, and he's right. They're contacting us in groves, and they're concerned about their educational system and its funding, and they're very concerned about this part of the puzzle, which will even make it more egregious. So these are important pieces of legislation we're talking about today. Do it in a realistic way. We're for alternative and renewable fuels, but with a realistic time process to get it done. Thank you so much.